N'Keal Harry announced that he wants a trade from the New England Patriots. Former first-round draft pick. Honestly, a really high-profile draft pick for Bill Belichick. He went and got a receiver in the first round, something he doesn't normally do, nor is he well known for his ability to draft receivers. So this was a big deal. He reportedly went outside of some of his scouts to do this. They weren't necessarily on board with this. And Belichick was like, no, this is my guy. I'm going to get my guy. And now this was in the last year of Brady. I don't know where he was at in terms of contract negotiations with the Patriots at that point. I don't know if Belichick had a feeling that Brady was going to leave after that season or not, but he was definitely trying to get the offense in good shape. He drafted offensive line and running back the year before, drafts N'Keal Harry. Like he's trying to do everything he can offensively. So here we are 2 years later, just 2 years later. He hasn't even played a third season in the NFL yet, and he's already requesting a trade. Now, the trade request itself is one thing for a guy in his position who doesn't have any trade value and who, when you spend a first round pick on somebody, you can't just send them off with no trade value. It just doesn't look good. And for a guy who's as good of a GM as Bill Belichick is, it's a real mark on your resume when something like this happens, if you end up having to deal a guy like that. So it's kind of a wild trade request to begin with, but it's the statement made by his agent that is really the craziest part of this that I really want to dig into, because this statement is insane. I'm just going to read you a couple of the sentences from the statement. Through 2 seasons, he has 86 targets, which obviously hasn't met the expectations the Patriots and N'Keal had when they drafted a dominant downfield threat who was virtually unstoppable at the point of attack in college. Okay. N'Keal understands a key ingredient to production is opportunity. Okay. Those are the 2 things I want to kind of focus in on here. Now, first of all, for an agent and a player to tout their college abilities after the difficulties that he's had in the NFL is really insane to me. Every single wide receiver in the NFL that was drafted in the first or even second rounds was a top tier talent in college. Any single wide receiver's agent could write that statement and say they were dominant, probably downfield because it's college football, in college. That doesn't mean anything. You were a first round draft pick. You have to produce in the NFL. Secondly, opportunity. Now, I'm on record as saying I really don't think he's had the opportunities that he needs to show what he's capable of. I think we saw some really good moments from him, especially like a couple times his rookie year. There were these big moments on the sideline, whatever, contested catches, which is what he's good at. But it's one thing, Brady was kind of 1 foot out the door in 2019. I don't think it set anyone up on the offense for much success. I think that offense was stagnant and kind of old and stale. And then that same group, by and large, was what they rolled out for Cam Newton last year during that crazy season. It was really difficult. Cam Newton coming off an injury, whatever. But I really did expect N'Keal to step up with someone like Cam, who has a good arm, who can throw downfield. Even with his arm being hurt last year, and he had minimal downfield throws, but the ones he did have were good. He was on target. And if you're going to be a big guy who's a contested catch guy, whatever, and you can't get separation in the NFL, the opportunities are going to come in those moments where you need to make a high risk, high reward throw. And there just haven't been that many moments where N'Keal has proven that he can step up. Now, do I feel like they've used him downfield enough? No. But again, where do you think you're going to go that the opportunities are going to be so much better? The Patriots are set up for more success now in this offseason than they've been in the last 2 because of where they're at health-wise, because of the new blood that they brought in on the offense, because of the state of their defense, which has a great mix of veterans who came in as free agents, veterans who are already on the team, and young guys who've been drafted really well on that side of the ball. So, to me, it almost seems like he's getting some bad advice from obviously his agent. I don't know, I know he's raised by his grandmother. I don't know if, what kind of conversations he has with his actual family, but someone's giving this guy some really bad advice. Number one, Bill Belichick has, say what you want. He's the guy who took a chance on you. He's the guy who was told not to draft you when he did. So I'm not sure how many teams around the league value N'Keal more now than Belichick did when he drafted him. And secondly, like at some point, you have to go prove yourself. And this is an offense that in a second year with Cam Newton, whether it's Cam that gets the start or even Mac Jones, that is obviously set up for more success than they were last year.
Hey, this is comedian J.L. Covan, best known for his impression of Donald Trump. I'm going to be at City Winery in Boston for one night only, July 26th at 8 p.m. Hope to see you there.
It just feels like a really misplaced, blame game. And I'm not sure that this is going to work out for anybody. It's definitely not going to work out for the Patriots if they end up having to put their first round draft pick from 2 years ago on waivers or trade him for something, for pennies on the dollar. And I really don't see it working out for N'Keal Harry, like, having to start into a whole new offense and everything else. I mean, I'm not saying that Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick are the perfect team for every single player and in every single situation, but come on, like, give it one more year. What are you doing? Give yourself a chance to be traded for real like, you're not a trade piece right now where you're at. Like, it's embarrassing. Um, and on the flip side, this is a tough look for Bill Belichick because not only did he put himself on the line to go get N'Keal and put his reputation on the line, knowing what everybody says about his ability to draft wide receivers, scout wide receivers, more specifically, he went and got this guy and he's not cut. Like he's not, he's been riding with him. He's been giving him chances. And he has a chance in training camp to kind of make his mark. When he goes out on a limb for a guy, they always have a little bit more leeway. And we've seen that with N'Keal. And, I do still see potential in his game. I mean, I definitely don't think he's the receiver I thought he was going to be when they drafted him. I was really excited when they drafted him because I watched a lot of Arizona State and Pac-12. He really was an exceptional talent. And I should have known better because I'm also the same person who always points out the fact that most defensive backs in college are just like not even close to capable of playing in the NFL. And especially in the Pac-12, it's just I should have been more skeptical, but I saw enough of the flashes of what I'd seen before in the year, in his first year, that I was optimistic. And I think that there's something there, but in order to get an opportunity like what he's looking for, which is more targets and more chances to make a name for himself, he can't go be the third or fourth string guy on a different team. Like, this is the team where if you want to work yourself back up the depth chart, this is the place to do it. Going somewhere else where their 1, 2, 3, 4 guys are already installed in place and thinking you're going to make some huge improvement. I mean, like, where are you going to go? I mean, I guess if you go to like Kansas City or the Rams or prolific passing offense, like in a lot of ways, this makes me really wonder if N'Keal's impression is that Cam Newton is going to be the quarterback this season. If the team's pretty convinced that at least to the start, Cam Newton's going to be the starting quarterback this season. And so he sees this as more of a power running offense. And he doesn't think he's going to get the chances for him to, grow, which I think that's a little overstated. They're going to run a lot. It's a Cam Newton offense, but in a well-run Cam Newton offense, he's also throwing downfield a ton. And that's what you're saying that you want. So none of this makes sense. It's a bad look for the organization in terms of like their ability to manage these high draft picks. It's a bad look for N'Keal Harry. It doesn't seem like he fully understands where he fits in right now. And I understand that. I don't think I don't think that's a crime, but I also think that at some point you have to have some self-awareness and understand that there's going to be times when you have to prove who you are. I mean, Jesus, look at what Julian Edelman did to work himself into the role that he got from where he was. Like, this is the curse of the first round draft pick, right? You come into the league with the entitlement of being a first round draft pick, but it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you do have to grind. So we will see, but I sure do. I mean, geez, it sure does seem like he's not optimistic that there's going to be a high number of passes this season for him to compete for. So, different topic, but that might be a little bit of information on where he thinks the quarterback position is going to go to start the season.